People in the fashion industry often say, relax, it's not rocket science. And they are right. We aren't sending rovers to Mars. But here's the thing, NASA builds for a few astronauts. We build for 8 billion people. Every single person on this planet wakes up and puts on clothing, which means when garment quality fails, it doesn't fail in laboratory, it fails in real life, on real humans. And let's be honest, a lot of brands out there, they really don't care. They prioritize immediate profits over lasting quality. Today, I'm going to show you what actually makes garment quality. Because contrary to popular beliefs, it's not the logo stitched onto the chest. You'll learn what manufacturers mean when they say garment has passed quality. Why making one perfect t-shirt is easy, but making 10,000 identical ones borders on controlled insanity, and how factories stop tiny mistakes from becoming very expensive disaster. We'll decode the 3 pillars behind every quality system: testing, inspection, and quality control. They sound similar, but they perform completely different jobs. By the end of this episode, you'll never look at a t-shirt the same way again. You'll know exactly why one garment survives 50 washes, while another one starts negotiating its own retirement after 3 washes. Because in this business, quality isn't created at the inspection table. It's created hundreds of decisions earlier. Let's get into it. So, what exactly is garment quality? Most people think garment quality means soft fabric, neat stitching, and premium packaging. That's like judging a car purely by the shine of its paint. It may look spectacular parked outside your house, but the real question is whether it survives the drive home. Real garment quality is much simpler. A quality garment does exactly what the customer expects it to do. It fits correctly, feels comfortable, survives repeated washing, performs consistently, and perhaps most importantly, delivers exactly the same experience whether it is the first garment produced or the 10,000th. Because manufacturing isn't about making one perfect t-shirt. It's about making 10,000 identical ones. Take a basic t-shirt from Uniqlo. It isn't trying to reinvent clothing. It doesn't have 27 pockets, built-in Bluetooth, or sleeves that make coffee. It's simply a well-made t-shirt, yet whether you buy one today or next year, you expect it to fit the same, feel the same, and survive the same number of washes. That consistency is the true definition of quality. So naturally, the next question becomes, where do garments actually fail? The answer is surprisingly systematic. Almost every defect you'll ever see in a garment can be traced back to one of 6 birthplaces of defects. 1. Fabric physical defects. 2. Fabric performance defects. 3. Garment production process defects. 4. Pattern and measurement defects. 5. Sewing defects. 6. Finishing and packing defects. Think of a garment as a relay race. Every department passes the baton to the next. If one runner stumbles, the entire team loses. Let's follow that journey. First, everything starts with the fabric. If the fabric arrives with holes, stains, slubs, neps, missing yarns, double picks, thick places, or weaving faults, those defects don't magically disappear. They simply get cut into garment panels, stitched together, packed into cartons, and eventually end up inside the customer's wardrobe. Garments don't create these defects, they inherit them. That's why fabric inspection is the first line of defense. Second, there are fabric performance defects. Some defects are far more dangerous because you can't see them. They only reveal themselves after the customer starts using the garment. Poor color fastness, excessive shrinkage, pilling, weak tear strength, poor stretch recovery or fabric distortion are all performance failures. The garment may look flawless in the showroom, only to disappoint after 3 washes. This is exactly why laboratories exist. They don't test appearance, they test promises. After that, we move into garment process defects. Some garments undergo additional processes after sewing, such as garment dyeing, enzyme washing, stone washing, silicone finishing, or over-dyeing. When these processes are properly controlled, they create beautiful products. When they're not, they create disasters. Excessive enzyme treatment can weaken the fabric and reduce its tear strength. Poor dyeing can cause color bleeding and staining. Sometimes the very process designed to improve the garment becomes the reason it fails. Then we arrive at pattern and measurement defects. Sometimes nothing is wrong with the fabric or the sewing. The problem started much earlier on the pattern table. Incorrect grading, poor measurements, unbalanced patterns, or incorrect specifications can produce sleeves that are too short, collars that don't fit, or medium garments that mysteriously fit like an extra small. Customers don't care whether the mistake came from the pattern room or the sewing line. They simply know the garment doesn't fit. Next comes the sewing floor, where one careless operation can undo hours of perfect preparation. Crooked seams, skipped stitches, open seams, seam puckering, loose threads, broken stitches, poor bar tacks, incorrect stitch density, and weak seam construction are among the most common sewing defects. A beautiful fabric cannot rescue poor workmanship, just as an expensive engine cannot save a car assembled with loose bolts. And finally, even when everything else has gone right, finishing and packing defects can still ruin the entire product. Even after sewing is complete, the job isn't finished. Garments still need pressing, trimming, folding, tagging, labeling, packing, and carton assortment. Wrong size on hang tags, incorrect barcodes, dirty garments, poor pressing, wrong hang tags, or incorrect carton packing can all turn a perfectly manufactured garment into an expensive customer complaint. Imagine producing 10,000 flawless shirts only to ship them all with the wrong size on the hang tags. That's not a sewing problem, that's a finishing problem. And that's why garment quality isn't one inspection carried out at the end of production. It's a complete management system. Every department protects the next. Fabric protects sewing. Sewing protects finishing. Finishing protects packing. Inspection simply verifies that every one of those promises has been kept. Because quality isn't created by inspectors. It's created by every person who touches the garment before the customer ever does. So how do manufacturers maintain garment quality? The answer is through a combination of testing, inspection, and quality control systems. Now, if you've watched our previous episode on fabric testing, you'll remember that manufacturers test fabrics before production even begins. Garment testing, also known as GPTAKA, Garment Performance Tests, or Garment Package Test, is slightly different. Instead of evaluating the raw material, garment testing, or GPT, evaluates the finished product itself, checking whether seams, buttons, zippers, measurements, and overall performance can survive real-world use. Because a zipper that works perfectly in a laboratory but gives up after 3 uses is about as useful as a submarine with screen doors. But testing is only one piece of the puzzle, because even the best fabric and the best test results mean very little if mistakes are happening every day on the production floor. Which is why manufacturers cannot rely on luck. They need a system. More specifically, they need an inspection system. In most factories, garment inspection happens at several stages throughout production. The first stage begins during production itself. This is known as inline inspection. Inspectors walk through the sewing lines, checking garments while they're still being assembled. They look for issues such as skipped stitches, incorrect operations, measurement problems, puckering, poor workmanship, or components attached incorrectly. The goal isn't simply to find defects. The goal is to stop those defects from spreading. Because finding a mistake after 10 garments is manageable. Finding the same mistake after 10,000 garments is the sort of thing that makes factory managers suddenly develop an interest in stress management workshops. Then comes the final inspection. This is the last checkpoint before shipment. And this is where one of the most important systems in the garment industry comes into play. AQL, or Acceptable Quality Level. Now, despite sounding like something NASA might use before launching a rocket, AQL is simply a standardized system that helps manufacturers and buyers decide whether a production batch meets the required quality level. We'll dive much deeper into how AQL actually works in a future episode. For now, just remember this: AQL gives factories and brands a common language for making quality decisions before products reach the customer. And this brings us back to the original question: what creates garment quality? It's not inspection alone. Inspectors don't create quality any more than referees create goals in a football match. Quality is created by good materials, skilled operators, effective processes, and attention to detail. Inspection simply verifies that everything is working as it should, because at the end of the day, customers never see the inspection reports. They never see the AQL calculations. They never see the factory audits. They only see the garment, and their verdict is brutally simple: does it perform exactly as promised?
And that's the truth about garment quality. It stays invisible until it fails spectacularly. Customers may never notice the perfect stitch, but they definitely notice the seam that explodes in public. Because people won't wear your excuses, they wear your product. And in this industry, quality isn't a cost, it's your reputation. BSKB, aka Bite-Sized Knowledge Bombs, is powered by Blossom360 program, an immersive industry experience built to expose the real world of garment manufacturing from the inside out. From factory floors to production lines, Blossom360 gives students, designer, and fashion entrepreneurs kind of practical knowledge you simply won't find in a classroom. Hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment if you feel these episodes are genuinely upgrading your professional knowledge in the fashion industry. In the next episode, we'll deep dive into garment defects, garment testing, and the inspection systems factory used to separate world-class quality from absolute disasters. Stay tuned, and we'll see you there.